And thank you very much, Evelyn. And thank you, Sunway Test, for organizing this event for us every Friday. My name is Ming Xiang from ICAEW, and I work with the Kuala Lumpur office, all right, helping to build pipelines for students like you into the profession through authorized training employers and be chartered accountants, right? So without further ado, normally I will always start with a video, and then after this, I'll do a short presentation about ICAEW, right? So for those who are joining us for the first time, at least you will know who we are. And then we will bring our guest speaker today, all right? Our guest for today, Mr. Sean Lai from Grand Thornton, who will then share his experience with you in his field of audit. So without further ado, please sit back and relax, and I'll play a short video about ICAEW before I do a short 5 minutes presentation.
Are you ready to future-proof your career with ICAEW? You can kickstart a journey that is recognized and preferred by top employers globally. The ICAEW qualification is for anyone with a passion for accountancy, business, and finance. And there are several pathways to get you started. As soon as you leave school, you can study for the ICAEW certificate in finance, accounting, and business, the direct route for acquiring the ACA qualification. While university students or graduates could enroll for the qualification during or after their degree. You may apply for credits for prior learning, also known as exemptions, or gain strategic credits at selected universities in Malaysia. What's more, you also have the opportunity to complete the ACA qualification while being employed. ICAEW Chartered Accountants are highly sought after in any industry for their expertise in business acumen and strategy. 96 of the world's 100 global leading brands employ ICAEW Chartered Accountants, and 83% of FTSE companies have an ICAEW Chartered Accountant on their board. You can be a part of a global network of 186,500 ICAEW members and students in 150 countries and work anywhere in the world with recognition from the Chartered Accountants Worldwide and Global Accounting Alliance networks. ICAEW is founded in 1880 with a royal charter and is one of the oldest professional bodies with a long history of serving the public interest and supporting members globally. As we continue to work with governments, regulators, and business leaders around the world, we believe that chartered accountancy can be a force for positive change. We share our professional insight, expertise, and understanding of business and finance to create a world of strong economies and sustainable future for all. Check out what our chartered accountants have to say about the ICAEW experience.
ICAEW carries a lot of weight in the accounting and finance world. And the reason the brand is so strong is because it produces finance leaders who think critically, act ethically, and with integrity.
The knowledge that I gained from ICAEW helped me in my day-to-day work, ranging from financial reporting, tax, and how to adapt into different kind of situation at the workplace. I would say ICAEW provides a very strong and solid foundation to prepare the students for the actual workplace.
My current role requires me to be fully knowledgeable in fixed asset accounting, and the ACA syllabus encompasses all of these and more.
Start your path towards becoming a chartered accountant with ICAEW. For more info or to register your interest, please contact our ICAEW personnel.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed the video, right? So it's a quick introduction to who we are. So for those of you who are joining the session for the first time tonight, welcome. And I'm here to introduce to you a career in business and finance. For those who have joined us before, I've seen one or two familiar names here. I hope you can then use this as a refresher course and ask questions at any time, whenever you want to, by typing your questions in the chat box in the Zoom panel below. All right. So for anyone who have got questions, please type in into the chat box below the Zoom panel, and we will address it at the end of the session. So for those who are joining us for the first time tonight, I'm here to introduce you a career in business and finance. We know that in any given time of the economy, medicine and law are one of the more resilient careers, where at any time of the time, whether the economy is bad or good, you will always need doctors and lawyers. But people tend to forget that the business and finance industry is also a very resilient industry, especially when you become a chartered accountant, right? So many people don't realize that no matter whether the economy is good or bad, you will always need a chartered accountant, right? Especially a chartered accountant, because chartered accountants are trained to not only do what we call audits, managing financial records, doing budgeting, and conducting risk analysis, but chartered accountants are also trained to investigate criminal financial activity, communicating with stakeholders, advising stakeholders on capital management, and of course, negotiating finance, which means that at good times, chartered accountants will help organizations to grow. And at bad times, when the economy is not doing very good, chartered accountants are there to help you consolidate and merge your organizations so that you're a little bit more resilient. So you see, this is a particular career that is needed at any time of the year, at any time of the economy, no matter whether it's good or bad. Accountants are always needed in every business. So for those of you who are completing high school, and for parents who are listening in as well, there are certain skills that we look for. And if you have these skills, you are suitable to be a business and finance specialist. So one of the things that are very important to chartered accountants are people skills, because part of your work daily is to communicate with people, right? And communication alone is not enough. You must make sure that the other party understands you as well. Hence the importance of people skills, because good people skills enable you to work with teams. Therefore, having better teamwork, right? When you are able to communicate better with your teammates. And when you work well in a team, it helps you to grow your decision-making skills as well. Your decision-making and problem-solving skills are very important, especially when you work in the future to help organizations to solve their problems. Chartered accountants are also very ethical. So if you remember, those of you who are in high school or completing high school, you'll remember that you study pendidikan moral when you're in school. Moral is very important because when you go on to work, ethics and professionalism is very important. Ethics basically means that chartered accountants are supposed to do what is right, even when no one is looking. Another important skills that we advise you, and in fact we train chartered accountants to have, is IT skills. How many of you who are leaving high school know how to use Excel, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint? Excel, when you become an accountant, Excel is going to be one of your best friends. And when you move on and become a chartered accountant, you'll realize that data analytics skills, understanding how cloud computing works, understanding how to understand data and information on the cloud or on the internet, as well as in software providing you with data, it's very, very critical. Hence, in today's world, IT skills are very important. So do not worry. If you don't have it, when you join the ICAEW program, we will embed you with all these skills that you will need. And lastly, commercial awareness. Commercial awareness basically means how well do you know what's going on in the business industry other than what's going on in your organization. So similarly, an analogy that I always use for high school students is, how well do you know what's going on in your community? All right, where you stay, where you study, how well do you know what's going on around you other than where or what you're studying? Right? That's what commercial awareness is. So again, another advantage of becoming or starting or taking up a career as a chartered accountant is that you can work in any industry in the world, regardless whether the organization runs a hospitality business like Shangri-La or Hilton, all right, or Westin, or even manufacturing firms like Top Glove, Proton, Toyota, or the healthcare industry, like pharmaceutical industries like Duo Pharma, Merck, Pfizer, or even audit and accountancy firms like PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, Grant Thornton, BDO, all these organizations will have a need for a chartered accountant. And that's why you can work in any industry if you take up chartered accountancy. So we've been speaking about chartered accountancy for the last 5 minutes. So who are we? We are the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. So the ICAEW was founded way back in 1880 by Royal Charter from the Queen of England. That makes us one of the oldest professional body in the world, because there were not many professional bodies that were founded before the 1900s. So we started off in London, and today we have offices expanding all the way to Europe, and of course to Southeast Asia as well, including China, Hong Kong, Jakarta in Indonesia, Singapore, and of course Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia as well. Today, we have 156,000 chartered accountants working in 150 countries, and more than 30,000 students taking up the ICAEW qualification in the various countries around the world. 96 of the world's 100 global leading brands employ ICAEW chartered accountants. And in Malaysia, more than 200 of our authorized training employers are ready to take you in and train you to be chartered accountants. And we are very proud to say that we work with many partners in learning, and many of our students who have completed the professional level of the ICAEW find work within 3 months of completing that level. So before I go on to the presentation, without further ado, I would like to bring up our guest for today and introduce to you Mr. Sean Lai, who works with Grant Thornton, one of the global 6 accounting firms based in Malaysia. And I would like to then introduce you to Sean right now. So please, Sean, may you please introduce yourself, share a little bit of what you do at Grant Thornton at the moment. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks Ming Xiang for the introduction, and thanks to Sunway Test and ICAEW for having me. So my name is Sean, I'm with Grant Thornton in their audit and assurance department, and I'm currently in an assistant manager role. So basically, as mentioned by Ming Xiang, the more than 200 ATEs would accept students from ICAEW. So there are so many different industries you could pursue with this qualification. But the reason the industry I chose is audit, which is the bread and butter. It is the original industry, which I think even old timers will know what audit is about. So, but to explain to anyone who hasn't heard of audit before, markets in business rely on information to operate effectively. They rely on financial information, and accounting is a language of business. So the purpose of audit is to make sure that all the information you see has been, I wouldn't say guaranteed, we don't use the word guaranteed, but someone has looked through the numbers, has ascertained that they are true and fair, and that way you can rely on those numbers. Otherwise, it is just, he said, she said. So all the headline numbers you see in the news, all the audited reports, all the annual reports you see on listed companies, all of these go through an auditor to make sure that they comply with the accounting standards. And accounting standards are a set of regulations which all companies must comply with. Basically, it is not rules-based. It is not set in stone. It is principles-based. So as auditors, we need to apply a judgment and say, hey, this transaction, this item, there are many ways to treat it, but we think this is the best way, it's the most fair way to treat it, and vice versa. The client may have their own view as well. So as auditors, we need to have our own, the term that you will always hear if you take on ICAEW is professional skepticism. You have to be skeptical of what is presented to you and not just take it at face value, because even a simple change in accounting treatment can lead to big impacts. So to prevent things like window dressing, to prevent things like fraud, auditors play a very important role in making sure that what you see is reliable. So as an auditor, the typical process we go through is we plan out the engagement. Planning is an extremely important part of, even when you're taking exams, planning is very important. But when you're doing audit engagement, you have to plan out what you perceive the risk area to be. So this is a very important skill, which you actually see a lot in the ICAEW exams as well. When you sit for your, even in your certificate level exams, they will want you to identify what are the key issues to take note of. It is not so much of learning the technical guidance, learning the standards. It's more of how do you apply, how do you use your judgment to add value to really solve the issues. So as an auditor, we have a planning stage, which is quite extensive. Once we do that, we do our audit work, and finally we form an opinion. So obviously, I've been with Grant Thornton for 5 years now, and before that, I was an O-level student, so I joined Sunway in 2014. So I did my CFAP. Then after the 15 months of CFAP, I did my 3-month internship. I took a bit of a shortcut. I took my 6 papers for professional level in 9 months, rather than the standard 12 to 15 months. Then after that, like Ming Xiang mentioned, I had no issue at all finding a job. In fact, I remember the Friday, I took my exam on a Friday for my final paper, BPT. And on Monday, I was already starting work in audit. So the reason I chose audit specifically is that, yes, it may not sound as sexy as advisory, maybe, or as banking, but I felt that the foundational skills that you learn audit are very important. I think that a lot of people, we'll talk about this in depth later, I think, but a lot of people would say they have a lot of opinions about audit, but I don't think anyone would argue with the results and the valuable experience that they've gained.
Thank you very much, Sean. I think that is very enlightening, because I think from what we understand from what you have just shared with us is that audit is very, very important. It's a very, very important aspect of many organizations, especially to ensure that the accounts that the organizations produce are true and accurate. Yep. And that's where the role of the auditors come in, to make sure that the accounts that are produced are without question. So, but saying all that, Sean, there's always the stigma that many students, the first thing they do when they hear about audit is that the stigma they always perceive is that audit is a very, very stressful profession. And later, I will share with the audience as well the pathway for ICAEW, where to complete the advanced level of ICAEW, you will be required to work and study at the same time. So what's your opinion on that, Sean? Because coupled with the perception that audit is going to be very stressful, but to study and work at the same time, how did you manage your time?
Maybe I'll preface it by saying this. A lot of the opinions that people have on audit, obviously they come from auditors themselves. And I can say that currently ICAEW is growing very quickly, but a lot of the opinions are not from ICAEW members. So ICAEW prepares you in a way which I think is different from other qualifications, where personally coming in, yes, it is stressful, but I think that can be said about any industry, any profession. Yes, you mentioned previously lawyers, doctors, they have stress. Consultants have their own stress. Every branch of industry has its own stress. And that is a good thing. Without stress, you can't grow. And I think, again, a lot of people have been in and out of audit, but nobody can argue with the results and the skills that they've taken away from that. Speaking about studying while working, yes, it is a challenging thing, but I think because ICAEW trains it in such a way where the skills you pick up in certificate level are carried over to professional, which are then carried over to advanced. So yes, even though in advanced you are studying while working, of course the ATEs have been very good, I think, in granting appropriate work-life balance for people to study. But the skills that you pick up in the previous 2 sections of ICAEW should be more than enough for you to really understand things properly. And I think that's the beauty of ICAEW and why I chose it in particular. It's because the way the course is structured, the way the exam is structured, it emphasizes on understanding. So if I'm not mistaken, professional level is not open book yet, but advanced level has always been open book. And the reason they do that is the emphasis is not on rote learning. It is not on memorization. It is about how you can take what you've learned and you apply it. And that's exactly what people do at work. If I were to just memorize my way through the whole syllabus, yes, I would know in situation A, oh, you do this, this is the answer. In situation B, this is what you do. But I would lack flexibility. I would lack flexibility in my thinking and in the way I approach problems. And I will basically be, yes, I know what's in the standard, but I don't actually understand it. So I think studying while working is a challenge, but I think people that have gone through certificate and professional level, they already accept the challenge. It is to get through those two levels in the first place. And I think Ming Xiang, you previously shared the skills which would, I mean, the sort of people that would be suitable to join ICAEW. If you can get through those first two levels, you wouldn't have a problem studying while working. Stress will always be there. And I think it is something that everyone accepts at one point. And to be honest, I don't really think about it too much. Yes, my colleague asked, isn't it stressful? Aren't the hours very long? But to be honest, again, I'm not advocating do what you love what you do. I think it is a matter of you have to be practical. Not to say you force yourself to love what you're doing, but work is work. And I personally, I still enjoy what I do. And with the skills that we'll talk about later that ICAEW imparts on students, working and studying shouldn't be an issue.
I think that's good. That's good to hear from you, Sean. But what I understand is that you picked up a lot of the skills necessary as well, and the knowledge for what you do today from the ICAEW, especially from the certificate and professional level. And then you combine it all, and then it comes to a top at advanced level where you learn how to apply at your current work. But looking back at the challenges that you're faced by taking up the ICAEW curriculum, all right, albeit it is challenging, all right, and you took a crash course and finished professional in 9 months, right? But going back, what made you choose the ICAEW as a program to take after O levels? You have so many choices after high school, all right? But what made you choose to take up specifically the ICAEW?
I think I've always had a passion for what's happening around me, in terms of business, in terms of what's happening in the community. So I always knew that I would eventually go into the field of finance, into the field of business. And I was looking for, I mean, given I do have a family background in accounting, my parents are both chartered accountants as well. But the reason I chose ICAEW in particular is I was thinking, what kind of skill set do I want to give myself? What kind of career path do I want to set up for myself? And which profession, which qualification would be the best suited for that? And I mean, I have my own parents, they are from other qualifications, not ICAEW, but they themselves wholeheartedly recommended me, please go and do so, pursue ICAEW, because the skills you pick up, and just to share, the way the questions are structured, the way the course is structured, and I think the excellent job that Sunway Test has done in providing a good environment for students to learn, and the excellent lecturers as well, all of those factors coupled in made it the logical choice to take. And obviously, at the time when I studied ICAEW, I was 16. I graduated from O levels, I was 16. And I wanted something which is, I knew that learning is important. I knew that obviously getting the technical skills is important, but I also wanted to gain a working experience as fast as possible, because I knew experience is king. And I knew that there are some things which you study, if you study for the sake of studying, but you don't have work experience, it's hard to really understand it. So when I saw that CFAT, you had 15 months of, you had 6 certificate level papers, and then you had 3-month internship, that really appealed to me, because I thought, hey, I can take what I've learned in certificate level, go out there for 3 months. Yes, I was only 17 years old at the time I did my internship, but you know, you go out there, you get thrown into the fire, you learn, and you really understand, because there are some things which reading a book, you can't understand from reading a book. You have to go out there, you have to do it yourself. And especially things like IT skills, which I think ICAEW does a great job of. And really, in my 5 years with Grant Thornton, my IT skills has given me quite a big advantage over my peers. Communication, leadership, these few skills, which it is hard to quantify, it's an intangible skill. On the surface, it may seem that if we are all learning the same accounting standards, regardless of what qualification you're taking. But ICAEW has the advantage in that it focuses on these extra value-adding things, which you may not see now, but it will make a big, big difference when you go out to work. Just to share, like, if you do even the professional level papers, the way they structure the question, it is the same as in real life, in the workplace. And they are testing your skill on not just how well you understand the content, how well you can answer the question, but also how you answer it. Obviously the exam, some of the exams are only 2 hours plus. So, I mean, if you use this work, you might have a few days or a week to write a beautiful report, but now they're saying, hey, I need you to be concise. I need you to be I need you to be as factual and as concise as possible. Let me know what are the big issues and explain it in a way which the examiner, one read through and they know what's going on. So that is a skill which is very important for me personally, because as an auditor, a lot of our work is obviously fact-finding, evidence gathering, but also it's not good enough for me to have evidence and keep it on my head. I have to document it down. So being able to communicate concisely, and especially because ICAEW has a very strong standard of English, being able to communicate effectively is a very big part of what I do.
I think that's very, very enlightening, Sean. And from what we can understand here is that a lot it all depends on the individual as well. Yeah. You must be willing to go through and take up the challenges that comes hand in hand with the ICAEW qualification. And you have hit the spot right as well, because the ICAEW curriculum do train you in stages. And the way we structure the curriculum is that at the certificate level is where we embed you with knowledge. And then we embed you, where we train you on how to apply that knowledge at the professional level. And then we train you on how to apply all that when you go out and work at the advanced level.
Yeah.
And I think, Sean, you were very right as well that other than having the drive and the motivation and the want to actually pursue the qualification as well, right? You were also put into an environment where you are able to put all this to good use. All right, like you mentioned, you have got good lecturers at Sunway Tests. All right, and then you've got good opportunities when you go out and work. Like you said, you were thrown in the fire, but you were able to then work around an environment that will able to then build the skills that you have in you as well. Right. So saying all that, Sean, if you look back towards your past, all right, and to advise our audience today, would you have taken the same pathway, or would you change your mind and say, no, probably I'll go do a degree? Or will you still say that, no, I will still go on and take the CFAP, right? And why would you do that? Why would you say that?
For sure, I would definitely stay back with this path. I think being where I am right now at 23 years old and having 5 years plus working experience, being a chartered accountant, I think I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. So definitely, it is, I can say that as a SPM or O-level graduate, obviously it's a very big choice to make. It is the biggest choice that you will make probably for many years to come. And definitely making the right decision at that time is very important. So for me personally, 100%, I have no regret taking ICAEW. I think it is definitely the best pathway I could have taken, because not only does it give me, it prepares me in such an efficient way, meaning I go in there, I studied my certificate level, my professional level, and I come out and I'm, not to say perfectly groomed for work, but I'm ready to go in there and learn. And I think that is the important skill which ICAEW teaches. Obviously, ICAEW will not, I mean, the papers are not the be all and all. ICAEW members, long after they've graduated, long after they've got their qualification, we continue to learn every day. But it's the skills that you pick up during this journey which makes the learning process easier. It is not like a case of, hey, I finished my advanced level and I'm done. Learning will forever continue because the industry is always changing. Even now, in terms of the past 1 year, because of COVID-19, the whole audit industry is wondering, hey, suddenly all of these assets that we had, all of these valuations that were done, are they accurate? Can they still stand up in today's economic climate? So the industry around us is always changing. So it's important that as accountants, we have to be flexible, we have to be versatile. And I mean, I have many friends and colleagues which the skills they pick up at ICAEW, and yes, they may do audit as well, but the skills they pick up along the way allow them to go into any industry that they wish. And for me, myself, I'm very happy at Grant Thornton. I think that audit has been a great training ground for me. And I'll see where the future leads me. But I know that with the skills I have from ICAEW, I'm all set up.
That's very good to hear, Sean, because at a very young age, I mean, you just mentioned that you're 23 years old. And at 23 years old, you're already leading an audit team. Am I right? Right?
Well, yeah, I am. As a manager, I am. And one of the specialties, my specialties, I specialize in the field of IPOs. You know, in any on Bursa Malaysia
Public
and
offerings.
also on the public offerings on Bursa Malaysia and also one on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So this demonstrates that when you have an IPO, it is not a typical audit where you audit 1 year. You are doing multiple year audits, and most of the time you're communicating with many different offices, especially if it's a global offering. You may have to deal with many other countries, and you may have to deal with different regulations as well. So again, all the skills I mentioned just now, being flexible, being versatile, and being an effective communicator, all these are very important when you're doing these large scale corporate exercises. So myself and my ICAEW peers, friends in GT, we've often been chosen for these IPO jobs because of our skill set. It's not something that they can specifically quantify, but there's no coincidence that we are involved very heavily in this.
That's a really good testimony, Sean. And
and sorry, just to share a bit more, and as a manager, because I think everyone eventually, once you learn the ropes and you really understand what you're doing and you're really able to contribute to the team, you will get pushed up very quickly as an ICAEW chartered accountant. They know the skills that we have. They know that we've been groomed and the pedigree that we have. And once you reach a management level, the skills that you learn at ICAEW will come into play even more, especially the communication side. Because in particular for audit, yes, every engagement is slightly different. Every industry is slightly different, but the base, the core process is the same. The steps that we take to complete the audit, the whole journey is the same. So being efficient and being very good at communicating, especially during times like this, COVID-19, when we're all working from home, it's tough to communicate. It's tough to really coordinate and manage large teams. But again, like I mentioned, being concise, being accurate, being a good communicator, these are more important now than ever before.
I think that's why I'm very happy to have you here today, Sean, because I mean, it's a very good opportunity for the audience today to listen to you. All right, leading a team at 23, completing the ICAEW qualification, right? After high school, all the way, and with 5 years of experience in audit, and with all these skills in hand, the world is your oyster, Sean. All right, but without revealing too much, what are your plans after this? All right, because from what I hear from you is that the ICAEW qualification will take you far. It will take you to many opportunities beyond audit and beyond the career, the plans that you have and all that as well. So without revealing too much, what are your plans for the future? What do you see yourself doing in maybe in another 5 years' time?
I mean, for myself, I think I just to stress again that audit, everyone has their own opinion, but it is, in my opinion, the best training ground that you can have. That being said, as a training ground, a lot of people eventually move away from that. And I can see myself in the long term doing a lot of corporate advisory work, either in corporate finance or in restructuring. I see myself in that position because I feel that, yes, ICAEW it has prepared me very well for my career as an auditor. But at the same time, it has also prepared me very well for career in corporate finance, in the career in corporate advisory. That's the beauty of ICAEW, where with this qualification, you can go into any field relating to business and finance, any industry even, and you know that you're prepared. Like for advanced level, we have one paper, SPM, Strategic Business Management. And I think that is, right. I mean, I have a sister actually, just to share, I have my sister and my brother are both studying ICAEW. They studied it after me. And my sister is also a Grant Thornton in our advisory. Of course, I love my corporate reporting paper, my financial reporting, it's accounting standard. That's my bread and butter. That's my kind of thing. She loves her strategic business management, but in the end, we are both chartered accountants now, same qualification, but we can both, we work in either industry seamlessly. Just for me, I see myself moving more into that kind of role. But again, the emphasis is on adding value. So that's what I want to do. And I think going to career in corporate advisory is the best way to add value for my clients. And that's quite a natural progression where a lot of people start off in audit, but then they move on to advisory, to commercial. And to be fair, a lot do stay in audit for a very long time, for their whole career, because it has, it is undoubtedly a very good way for you to understand the industry. Because I think there are few positions where you can go in to the client and really go through their account, understand what they do, understand the whole industry, and then within a year you can experience a few new industries. So throughout my 5 years in GP, I've done SMEs, I've done MNCs, I've done PLCs from all sorts of industries. And I think if I continue to stay there in audit, I will definitely gain a lot more experience as well.
I think that's very insightful and inspiring, Sean, right? Because as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, the ICAEW qualification takes you very far, and it doesn't just limit you in one industry. Many students and parents assume that taking up an accounting or accounting and finance professional qualification will limit you. But as you can all hear from Sean, it's the opposite. The qualification actually opens up a lot of doors for you, boundless opportunity that goes even beyond audit. So thank you very much, Sean. Thanks for your very inspiring sharing. All right. So what I will do next is that to enlighten the audience and to actually fill in the gaps of what Sean has shared just now about the ICAEW curriculum, I'm going to do the last 5 minutes of the presentation where I'm going to share with everyone what the ICAEW papers are, the modules, and the pathway that you will take if you embark onto the ICAEW journey. So I'm going to share my screen again. All right. Thank you again, Sean. Maybe you can take a little bit of rest before we go into the Q&A. Okay. So back to the slides. Oops, sorry about that. So moving on, like what Sean has mentioned earlier, the ICAEW qualification is actually one of the most portable professional qualification in the world. ICAEW is part of Chartered Accountants Worldwide. We are the founder, and we are also a member of the Chartered Accountants Worldwide, which is a collection of professional bodies from countries around the world like Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, Pakistan, and so on. And ICAEW Chartered Accountants enjoy relationship or what we call reciprocal arrangements with these professional bodies that many other professional bodies will not enjoy. For example, ICAEW Chartered Accountants can immediately go to Singapore, and if they do so, and if they want to work in Singapore, they can register with the Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants via a reciprocal arrangement where they will not need to take any other additional exams, be part of the Singapore Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants, and start work legally in Singapore. All right. And this is the same with countries like Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, Pakistan, where chartered accountants from ICAEW can start work and register with the professional bodies there seamlessly. We are also part of Global Accounting Alliance, where our opportunities for our members to work in countries like America, Canada, Hong Kong, and Japan are also there because of reciprocal arrangements that we have with these bodies. That makes ICAEW Chartered Accountants having opportunities to work in almost any country in the world. As what Sean has shared earlier, to take up the ICAEW curriculum, there are 15 modules in our curriculum, right? And we all start with the certificate level, right? Which you all, in what, if those of you who will start after SPM, you will take it as part of the CFAP program, right? And the certificate level is what we call our knowledge level, embedding you with knowledge of accounting, assurance, tax, among others, and preparing you with the necessary knowledge that will embark you on the next step of your journey. So in other words, regardless whether you come from a science background from your high school, or if you come from an arts background in your high school as well, both of you will have equal opportunities and will be able to pick up the certificate level modules easily. You will then move on to the professional level, where whatever you learn at the certificate level, you will then now learn how to apply at the professional level. And then when you complete the professional level, when you move on to the advanced level, you will then learn how to apply everything that you have learned in an actual work environment. And if you take a closer look at the ICAEW modules in front of you, you will realize that we don't just train you to be specialists and technical in aspects of accounting, taxation, and audit, but we also embed you with skills and knowledge in business planning, business management, business strategy, to ensure that you have and you are able to, in the future, apply what you have learned or what you are going to do at the other business world, in other business organizations as well. So this is a very simple flow chart, all right, of a pathway of what and how you can take up the ICAEW curriculum. So for those of you who are listening to us and you're from after your high school, whether you have taken SPM or O level, you can either then start off with the ICAEW CFAP. And as Sean had shared earlier, you can start off with Sunway, who has an ICAEW CFAP program that takes you approximately about 1.5 years, where within the 1.5 years curriculum, there is a compulsory internship at the end of the program, which will give you an opportunity to have a taster of working life, right? Immediately after you complete the CFAP, you will then be able to proceed into the professional level, where it will take you another 1 more year to complete the 6 modules at this level, which means that you will be able to hit the job market and be fully employed 2.5 years after SPM if you take up the ICAEW CFAP route. But of course, if you prefer the traditional academic route, it is still possible for students to take up, for example, a foundation on A level, continue on to a degree, and upon completion of a degree, gain exemptions to then come into the ICAEW program as well. But regardless whether you come in from CFAP or you come in from a degree pathway, all students will then go into the advanced level. And in Malaysia, to complete the advanced level, you will be required to be fully employed to be able to complete the ICAEW qualification. At this stage, at the advanced level, you will be placed under a training agreement. On top of your full-time employment, you'll be placed under a training agreement, where as part of the training agreement, you will then complete the last 3 modules of the ICAEW curriculum, be trained with professional development skills necessary for you to progress in your career, and complete an ethics learning program. Upon completing all these 3, you will then graduate and complete the ICAEW qualification and be ready to be a chartered accountant. And at the advanced level, we work with more than 200 authorized training employers in Malaysia. And like what Sean has shared earlier, and I've also mentioned it many times as well, chartered accountants or students you can actually choose out of a plethora of employers in different industries, not necessarily in the finance industry, but into industry of your choice. For example, if you want to work for an oil and gas company, we are working with Petronas, Schlumberger, Shell, among others. If you're interested to work for banks, we work with Maybank, CIMB, MBank, and even Bank Negara as well. But if you want to go into audit, all right, we work with a multitude of audit firms, including the Global 6 like BDO, EY, Grant Thornton, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and Ernst & Young. Right? So in other words, you have choices galore upon completing your professional level, and at Sunway, they will assist you together with ICAEW to place you with the organization of your choice. Now, before I end my presentation, I would like to share with you some of the corporate leaders today who are ICAEW chartered accountants. And when you complete the program, you'll be among a network of these corporate leaders. So out of the 6 global firms, out of the 6 global audit firms in Malaysia, the top 4 audit firms have chartered accountants at the helm of these firms. You have Datuk Faiz Azmi, the executive chairman of PwC, Datuk Gan Ahti, the managing partner of BDO, Datuk Narendra Jasani, the country managing partner of Grant Thornton, and Datuk Ralph Rashid, the managing partner and Asian assurance leader of EY. They are all ICAEW chartered accountants. Other than the audit firms, we also have corporate leaders like Rajatan Sri Datuk Sri Arshad Rajatun Uda, the chairman of Equinas, director of Khazanah National, and former chairman of Maxis, who is also an ICAEW chartered accountant. So is the CEO and president of Petronas, Tengku Muhammad Taufik, Tengku Aziz, and the head of financial services and people at KPMG are also ICAEW chartered accountants. We also have prominent corporate ladies like one Shamila Wan Muhammad Saidi, the chief digital officer of Petronas, who helms and roll out IT infrastructure at Petronas, and she is also an ICAEW chartered accountant. If you tune in to BFM 89.9 every morning, right, you'll be able to grow your commercial awareness if you listen to Ms. Noel Lim, who will share with you the latest development of business organizations in Malaysia. And Noel is also an ICAEW chartered accountant and a very strong advocate of the ICAEW curriculum. Encik Mustamir Muhammad himself is also a chartered accountant. So as you can see, when you complete the ICAEW curriculum, like I've mentioned, you will be amongst a huge network of corporate leaders and chartered accountants in Malaysia who will be ready to welcome you into their fraternity. So if you have any questions, you have anything you would like to ask in the future about ICAEW, my name is Ming Xiang, and you can contact us either on my email at malaysia@icw.com or call us at our numbers. All right. Else, you can always contact Sunway Test for more information. So before I end my presentation and pass the floor back to Sunway for question and answers, all right, I would like to play one last video. Please sit back and enjoy. It's about the future of chartered accountants.
What will your job look like in 10 years' time? The world is rapidly changing, and so is the role of chartered accountants.
sustainability is being integrated into mainstream business, and the accounting profession is at the heart of this. The accountants decide what information is collected, how decisions are made, and how the outcome of those decisions are being presented to the outside world.
Are you ready? To help you prepare, we'll introduce you to chartered accountants already at the forefront of social change and leading thinkers who believe chartered accountants are critical in solving some of the most urgent challenges in the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Our first theme, trust, will explore the role that chartered accountants play in safeguarding data and information that is accurate and objective. Later this year, we'll look at diversity and inclusion, sustainability and access to education, and consider how these themes will shape the profession for the next decade and beyond. How will you gain the right set of skills, knowledge and experience to be the agents of change that the world needs? Visit ICAEW.com.
All right. Thank you very much. So thank you, fellow audience, for listening to us tonight. And thank you for Sean for joining us and be here tonight and sharing his experience with us, sharing his insights in audit, as well as his career, what he has taken and gone through with ICAEW as well. So I'd like to pass the floor back to Evelyn, all right, at Sunway Test. But before that, Evelyn, do you mind if I take on the question and answers first?
Yes. I think there are actually two questions for Sean here.
Okay, yes, I can see that both questions are actually for Sean. Right, so maybe what we can do is that the question from Kashwini. Okay, so Sean, what examples of IT skills did you pick up that was really useful for you? I think she's referring to when you were employed.
Okay, I think I can see from the video presentation that Ming Xiang shared just now, and also just looking at the current business market, data is becoming a bigger and bigger, it's playing a bigger and bigger role in our everyday work. Information is being collected about every transaction, and it's our job as accountants to really process that information and turn it into something useful. Of course, as an auditor, my job is to look through all the information that they prepared and then prepare it, which means take the information they prepare and refine it even further, analyze it, and use it to see what areas of risk there are. So, particularly in Sunway, they have quite an extensive Excel course, and with ICAEW as well. Even as a student, I love they actually have an Excel community where every week they share different tips on how to really process and manage data, because that is, I can say that Ming Xiang mentioned earlier that Excel is your best friend when you start professional accountancy. But it is also, if I'm not mistaken, Excel is also the most transferable skill among industries. So as a chartered accountant, regardless of what industry and what role you're playing, Excel, or in general, data processing, data management is very important, because if you can take the data, the raw data, and process it into something useful for everyone, be it as a consultant, as an auditor, that's value adding. That's the kind of value we want to add. So for me, coming in, I specifically asked to be thrown a lot of IT work. Even as an intern, I would say, hey, I know that I have the skills. Talk to me about ICAEW and what I pick up at Sunway, but I also want to really practice it. So I encourage any students which are tuning in now, if you go out there and you start your internship, or you finish a professional level and you start doing your regular work, take some time to really understand, really get a good grasp of how Excel works, how to massage the data, how to really process it into something useful, because that will be important regardless of what level you are. Even if you are at a CEO level, you want to know what data do I have on hand, what information can I process from that. And when you start out, you're the one processing the data. When you are a CEO or at any C-suite level, it is your job to figure out what information do I need to make better decisions. And that is sort of skills that ICAEW prepares you with.
I think that's very insightful, Sean, all right? Especially sharing with what type of skills that these students can look forward to. And in fact, what you will need to hone and grow while you're studying and to prepare you for what challenges are when you work in the future.
Yep.
Which brings to the next question by Shivagami, right? And I think the question is, Sean, what are some of the challenges you faced during your internship? Perhaps you can even expand this, Sean, to share with Shivagami, because when you embark out to work, right, after the professional level, you were actually very, very young. So what were the challenges you faced? How did you manage upwards and downwards as well?
I mean, yeah, you're right. Even both my internship and my when I formally joined Thornton, I was a good 6-7 years younger than my peers. And a lot of them do start out around my current age, about 22, 23. But I can say that they were very welcoming towards me, and then they were really willing to train me and really groom me. The challenge that I faced, obviously, and I think it was more challenging during my internship time, because yes, I had gone through my certificate level, I picked up the knowledge, but you know, studying and picking up knowledge is different from really applying that in the workplace. But I think that's the point. That's the point of having the internship in between your certificate and professional level, is to make you realize that, hey, yes, having the knowledge is important, but it's equally important to have an open mind and think about how to really apply it. Of course, at the internship level, you might obviously you get your hand held up, your spoon fed the answers, because at that level you are not expected to really think on your feet. But it is sort of a warning, like, hey, this is a taste of what you're gonna do out in the real world. So go back to Sunway, you have another 1 year, really think about what you're learning and think about how you're gonna apply that when you come out. So I think having that 3-month internship in the middle, yes, it is very challenging, because going in there as a 17-year-old, dealing with managers which are maybe, one full zodiac cycle ahead of me, it is not easy, but I think the reward is very fulfilling, and the result, it is same as tackling at PM. Obviously, as you're studying it, you take 2 years to prepare for it. The process, it may seem tough. There will definitely be challenges, but the reward at the end is definitely worth it. And I think my advice to all students out there is that even though when you are tired, when you are stressed, it is easy for you to say, hey, I'm just going to focus on the end goal. I'm going to make sure that I get the result I want, and that's it. Yes, it is important to get the result. And yes, that is what you will get. That's the certificate you will get. That's the grade you will get. But it's also equally important to understand and value each part of the journey, because every single thing you pick up, it is not learning for the sake of learning, not studying for the sake of studying. It is studying for a purpose. It is to really, learn how to add value. And that was the insight I got from my internship. Coming out to work full time, obviously the challenge is that in Sunway, in my uni days, obviously you are not studying presumably the whole day. When you come out to work, you have to learn how to manage your own time. And yes, audit does have long hours involved. I think there's no escaping from that. And like I mentioned, multiple industry factors have this, not just audit. But what ICAEW does well to prepare me for this is being organized in my thoughts, especially. Like the way I would tackle a problem at work is very similar to the way I would tackle a problem in exam. because that's just how the exam is structured. They want you to really lay out your thoughts, plan out properly. And I think if you go into work with that approach, you would save a lot of time. Because at the end of the day, if you know what you're doing, technically you should be able to manage your time and manage your stress level as well. There is nothing more stressful at work than when something goes wrong or something unforeseen happens, or maybe there's a lack of planning on something. All that creates a lot of unnecessary frustration, which I think with proper planning and with a proper mindset, that can all be mitigated.
So thank you very much, Sean. I think you've hit the nail again right on the top, all right? And you're very accurate. So to answer Shivagami's question, you're right. Planning, managing your time properly is very essential, not just at work, but also for all of you during your studies as well, all right? So thank you very much, Sean. I think this session has been really, really very insightful. You have put a different light on audit. We have always perceived that audit is very stressful. It takes up a lot of your time, but you have just shared the very positive side of it, is that you picked up so many things at audit.
Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity to learn so many things, the different organizational structure. It helps you to manage stress. It helps you to manage your time properly. And what you've just mentioned it again just now at the end is that it helps you to plan. All right. Yeah. And I think you will take all this away from audit. And in fact, it helps you to open up your doors to so many other opportunities in so different diverse environment like corporate finance, advisory, and so on as well. Yep. So thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very much for your time. All right. I think we have taken up a lot. Yeah, thank you. We have taken up so much time from Sunway as well, because after this, it's actually Sunway's turn to share. And I think what we will do is that I'll pass the floor back over to Evelyn. All right. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you, Ming Xiang, for the sharing. And really, at the same time, also I agree with Ming Xiang that today's sharing is also very enlightening, because we have managed to see a different light on auditing through Sean's perspective, and Sean actually, he went through the CFAT program and then to ICAEW, and at such a young age, at 23, he's already experienced this managerial role. So honestly, I think this is actually a very good opportunity. At the same time, also he did a good choice to take up CFAT, and therefore that's why he's able to cut short his duration as well. And this is also the same course that we want to to introduce to all of you here, which is the CFAT program. That actually is it's like a pathway to go into the ICAEW course. So for CFAT, actually, you can straight away come in after your SPM or your O-levels. And to do that, you need to fulfill the minimum requirement, which is a 5 A's, including English and mathematics. Now, if you do ask me, do you need maths to study accounting? Or do you need accounting knowledge before you pursue, into CFAT? I'll tell you actually no. You only need to understand the basic concepts of mathematics. Your English needs to be strong. And if you do not have any prior background in accountancy, it is okay. Because the moment when you come in from SPM, when you take CFAT, the first subject that you study, which is accounting, actually that would be the basic for you. The base in accounting actually it covers all the basic standards, on what is accounting, and it's pretty much the same concept and the syllabus for students who have taken them in SPM. So you do not have to worry if you are from science stream, pure science, no accounting background, if you want to pursue this, go ahead. Because based on statistically also, there is most of our students they actually come from science stream. They do not have any accounting background, but when they come in, they are pretty much doing fine. Because when you are in the science stream, you're doing all the 3 sciences, right? Actually, what these 3 sciences have taught you is to train your mind to think critically. So all these critical skills are also very essential when you move up to the CFAT program, all right? So this CFAT course, it will take you a duration of 1.5 years. and you will study for 12 subjects. 6 are actually the core CFAP subjects, and there will be another 6 additional subjects. Once you finish the 12 papers, you're going to go for the 3 months work-based learning. So a very unique opportunity that CFAP has presented is this work-based learning. Because if you go through the normal path, you have to go into degree in your final year, then only you are able to get this 3 months experience. But for CFAP students, it's different. Straight away after SPM or O level, which is in their probably 18 or 19 years old, they're already able to experience these 3 months in an actual ICAEW authorized training employer. So we're not actually sending you to any Tom, Dick, Harry companies, but these are authorized employers, which means when you go in, you are guaranteed that you will get a mentor who will actually be able to guide you through this experience itself. So once after this 1 year and a half, you go into ICAEW. So ICAEW, there's actually 3 levels: certificate, professional, and the last one is the advanced level. If you come from the CFAP program, you'll be able to get exemption for the certificate, because actually the ICAEW certificate level is the same subjects as the one in CFAP. So you've already done it. So when you come to ICAEW, you only start from the professional level. So professional level, it will take you 1 year. You study for 6 subjects. So once this level is done, you move on to the last, which is the advanced level. So the advanced level, it has 3 subjects, and here you would take a minimum of 3 years to complete. Now you wonder, wow, 3 years for just 3 subjects. It sounds very long, but the fact is actually for this advanced level, you have to be attached with an ICAEW authorized training employer. You have to go through a training contract. So in this level, you actually have to be working at the same time as you are studying part-time for the classes. Right? So in total, you would have to take a minimum of 5 years and a half. You will complete all your studies, all your examinations, and you also complete your 3 years training contract. So lastly, you'll be able to be a member of ICAEW. Now, if you want to practice as a chartered accountant in Malaysia, you have to actually register under this Malaysian regulatory body for accountants, which is called MIA, Malaysia Institute of Accountants. So once you register here, they will give you this chartered accountant qualification, or instead of this actually ACA. So I would say this qualification is something comparable to if you take for those doctors, they have DR, doctor in front of their names, right? So it's the same thing for professional accountants. At the end of their name, behind their name, they can use the qualification ACA. Okay, those for ICAEW. So that means that you are already a chartered accountant. This is also a professional qualification, so that's why you also get all this recognition itself. So this is the pathway. Now, for those students here who have joined us today, if you are from other paths, such as the O level, such as the A levels, or other pre-U program, diploma or degree, all right, your journey to ICAEW is still possible. It's just a little bit different. Okay, so these are the CFAP subjects. These are the 6 core subjects and the additional subject and 3 months. Now, for those students who comes in from other qualification, you can still start the ICAEW from either of these 3 levels. So it would depend on whether you have any credit prior learning, which is equivalent to exemptions. If you come from, let's say, degree or diploma that are relevant in accounting or finance qualification, you'll be able to get certain paper exempted. Then you will start in either the certificate or professional level. So either way, if you come from other qualification, it's still possible for you to take up ICAEW. So don't worry about that if you are from other qualification here. But definitely for those who come from SPM right now, we'll still highly recommend you to take up the ICAEW program from CFAP, because the whole program is already structured in a way that if you start from CFAP, we'll teach you slowly. So when you learn, your skills and then your thinking skills, actually they will progress and develop gradually and prepare you for the ICAEW program. All right, this is actually how the program goes. It goes gradually so that you will learn step by step, and then at the end you'll be very prepared when you take out the ICAEW program. That's why we are able to maintain our pass rates very well. For CFAP program, we are very proud and confident to tell you that our pass rate here is actually 97%. Okay, that's actually very high. In fact, we also have gotten 100% pass rate before. So that this is actually very possible for CFAP. And when you move to ICAEW, the professional level, we actually have an 85% pass rate, and then advanced level is 75% pass rate. So that's why you can see why the pass rate is so consistent and it's also still very high at the end is because of all this gradual learning curve. Okay, you learn it slowly, and this is how actually we will assist you in your study as well. But for those who comes from the pathway, okay, for those who start from pre-U to degree, you can still join us in ICAEW, which is either you join for certificate or professional, but the duration will be longer. That's why we'll still recommend, if you still have the chance now, for those SPM leavers, okay, take up the CFAP program. This is faster and it's cost saving, and we also actually have very good scholarships for you. So this scholarship actually we have just newly revised it. So for those students who will be able to get an 8A in SPM, I know for SPM you're actually getting a result next Thursday on 10, right? So all of you are quite nervous, but all the best to you. Okay, if you do get an SPM 8A, contact us, let us know of your result, and then we actually help you for your registration process, and then how to go about registering and applying for the scholarship. Because this scholarship really is, I would say, is really one of the best that you can find in Malaysia, and it's really, really very good. It's one of the best one also offered by Sunway already. So for this scholarship, if you do get 8As in your SPM, you're able to get apply for a full scholarship on the CFAP course. For the 1.5 year, it will be full scholarship. We cover your tuition fee and also your external fees. If you get 9 A's, A minus, A and A plus is a mixed combination, we'll give you full scholarship on CFAP and ICAEW. Okay, so all this also covers the tuition fee and also the external fees. For any students here who comes from the SCPM path, A-level or any other pre-U or diploma, you still get a chance to apply for this if your result is equivalent to what's mentioned here. For those SCPM, if you do get 3.45 CGPA or 2 A's in A-level or any equivalent from other pre-U, you can apply for this scholarship and get a full scholarship for the certificate level, which is the first year. First year will give you a full scholarship. If you score an SCPM 3.67 CGPA or 3 A's in your A level, apply for this scholarship. We give you full for the entire ICAEW program. It is really, really very worth it because at the end, for those who get all these full scholarship, the highest quantum, you only have to pay roughly another like 6,000 ringgit for like registration fee and general fees, and for the textbook fees only. Everything else is covered, which amounts up to around 65,000 ringgit. So actually, you save out a lot if you do get up this scholarship. Okay, that's why we always want to encourage students, go for this scholarship, take up the challenge and then take up ICAEW. But don't worry, for those students who also get between 3 A's to 7 A's in your SPM or O level, okay, we won't leave you out. You can still apply for the entrance scholarship. So entrance scholarship starting from 3A, you get 2,000, and every subsequent A that you get, you increase by 1,000. Up to 8 A's, then we'll convert you into the full scholarship. So just a little bit intro about ourselves, because we do understand, there are quite some other institution that's also offering CFAP, but just to let you know, we actually the say most active one in Malaysia who's offering the CFAP and ICAEW program. We have been running this program for a very long time, over 17 to 18 years, and we are we also actually have very close relationship with the employers. That's why when students come in, right, we are very confident that we'll be able to place them into all these authorized training employers. We actually assist our students who comes in to actually place them in all these employers, companies, so that you can go through your work-based learning or your training contract. You know, these are actually all the added service and that Sunway do provide to our student, because we are able to do it for you. Okay, and then at the same time, throughout all these 17 to 18 years, we have also garnered a lot of prize awards. What we call this actually prize winners and order of merit. What this all these awards mean is that our students, when they sit for these ICAEW exams, they score the highest in the whole world. You know, imagine as a Malaysian student, they are probably just 20 years old when they sit for the paper. They're competing with students even from the UK. Some of them might even be adults. But our students managed to score the highest in the whole world, you know, beating even students in UK. And they could even achieve marks like 100 marks. So scoring 100 out of 100 for ICAEW program is possible. Okay, it is very possible. And so in some way, if you do come here, we'll train you, you know, we give you the best lecturers. Our lecturers are very, very dedicated to teach the students, you know, they give you extra lessons to make sure that you can really do very well for examinations. And also like to know that we actually have achieved over 100 ICAEW graduates as well. So actually we are very happy about it. We have already conducted this for 17 years. So finally, we have over 1,000 students who graduated. So this is actually a very big milestone for Sunway. So this is actually what some of our recent students who have achieved all these World Prize Winner Awards. So you can see all these students like Yishan, you know, she has actually managed to score 95 marks for her paper. This is actually really, really high mark for the audit paper. She scored the best in the whole world. So if you do want to join this student, you know, to become champions in the world, if you come to Sunway, we'll help you, we'll nurture you, we'll train you all the way so that you'll be able to achieve all these milestones and awards for yourself. So if you do have any more questions or you are looking forward to register for the program, you can contact me. So my contact details is on the right. My name is Evelyn. You can either email me or you can drop me a WhatsApp message. Later in the chat, I'll also type my email, I'll type my number. So if you do have any more queries after this, or if you're quite shy to ask in this session, it's okay. You can drop me a message and I'll actually be able to help you with it. Because we also know the SPM result is next week. So our next intake actually will be in July. We're starting on the 19th, so it's actually not too late to start planning now. So if you do have not any queries or you want to register, okay, please drop me a message. I'll just type my details here. All right. So this is actually my contact details. Please copy and save it. If you do have any queries, okay, just you can just WhatsApp me. All right. So is there anybody still here who actually has any questions? Any questions about the pathway or any questions you want to direct to Sean or Ming Xiang?
I think it's late already, that's why.
Yeah. Friday night. All right, anybody else? If let's say there are no questions, then I think we'll end the session here because we have also overshot by quite a lot. So don't worry, if you have any question, you just contact us after this session, all right? It'll be very cool. Okay, we are cool to answer your questions. All right, so I think we can end the session here today. So thank you very much also Ming Xiang from ICAEW and Sean from Grand Thornton for joining us for this session this week. So we also hope to see all the viewers today for our next session, which is going to be next Friday as well. We also send you a reminder, so do join us also, okay? So, all right, thank you very much for joining today. Thanks. Have a good night. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Good
Thank you.
night.
Thanks, Evelyn. All right,
Thank
take care.
you. Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Bye.